day, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video is theory number 2. How might the evildoers Hegelianize the public to demand prophecy fulfillment? You know, by supporting the evildoers' efforts in our upcoming affliction. To understand the merits of this theory, one must understand one simple fact. No matter what comes out of the politicians' mouths, no matter how noble the spin used, resources are the reasons nations invade nations. Remember, the Gentiles were given a mandate to subdue the earth. And the American Gentile is the worst of the subduers. Take the Iran-Contra scandal, for instance. You know, where Reagan got caught trading guns for yayo. And what did we just discover happened on Reagan's watch? Yep. Everybody was sniffing cocaine to the point the #1 show on the telly was cocaine-driven Miami Vice. Prison population skyrocketed. Not just any prison sentence, though. They made sure to change the law and make the crime a federal offense. Why is this important, you ask? Because as we have just discovered, a federal crime means your rights as an American citizen, i.e. own a gun, vote, and the elephant in this particular room, the right to own a passport is taken away, which can only mean you do not have the right to leave the United States even if you wanted to without special permission. Okay, now we have yayo saturating the market in the Clinton administrations. Guess what they did? Yep, changed the law once again so that crack rock cocaine, which they pushed to the coloreds for a cheaper price, and powder cocaine, which they were probably doing on Air Force One, they changed the law so crack drug charges were harsher sentences than the white man's recreational powder cocaine. This is the reason the Pew Research Center concluded the Clinton administration had the highest increase of prison sentences on record. Okay, everybody knows why we invaded Libya, right? Because they had just taken themselves off the American dollar and instead started backing their currency, GDP, etc., off of their reserve of gold. Yep, America robbed that nation blind. Everybody knows why we went into Afghanistan, right? No? Then allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. Don't you find it interesting? Afghanistan is the world's producer of heroin, yet, get this now, even though Afghanistan is the known world producer of heroin, and we have successfully controlled the country from the Taliban for quite some time now, don't you find it interesting? Heroin is the cheapest it's ever been, and its use is at an all-time high in America now. Okay, everybody knows why we went into Iraq, right? Physically, oil, oil, oil. Spiritually, establishing Queen Bee's daughter's base. Seeing that I have established a plausible resource-wise reason for all of the above, if history dictates, and only if history dictates, shouldn't there be a resource in Syria America wants outside of what they're telling us? I say yes. Yes, there is. And true to their evil genius fuckery, this resource, just like some just mentioned, has the potential to manifest prophecy with the common American's fingerprints all over it. Let me explain. See, there are two things that are constant in an American society, whether the going is good or whether the going sucks. One is alcohol consumption. We party like it's 1999 when we celebrate and drink to forget our troubles, if just for one night. The second constant is drug use for the exact same reason. Only thing is, Alcohol is legal and drug usage is not. And I believe the American government is looking for the next drug that will fancy colors to make their ultimate move. Let me explain. Let me explain. See, I believe the government has been experimenting to see what new street drug will become popular in the black community. They tried meth, but only the poor white trash use it. They tried flocka, but it has too many side effects that scare others from using it. They tried synthetic weed, but it was too powerful and gave everybody reefer madness. Again, making the user non-functional. Woe is me, says the evildoers. Woe is me. We need a drug that the colors will love to use, that when the common white man see them high, it will scare the living shit out of them, thus making him demand we do something harsh to combat it. Yet, it can't be too over the top. It has to keep them not only functional, but because we have big plans for the colors in the future, a drug that when they take it in a supervised manner, dispensed by us, for us, you know, like our white children did them with the cocaine and amphetamines when they was picking that backer in the good old days. Yep, made them work real hard and fast. Yeah, that type of drug will make our big plans work like a charm. Woe is me, woe is me. I jest, but I believe this is exactly the dilemma the evildoers faced. Until I read this quote. As the Washington Post Liz Sly recently noted, the war in Syria has become a tangled web of conflict dominated by Al-Qaeda veterans, hardened Iraqi insurgents, Arab jihadists, and Western volunteers. On the surface, those competing actors are fueled by an overlapping mixture of ideologies and political agendas. Just below it, experts suspect they're powered by something else. Capagon. Stop. Bingo. According to Wikipedia under Capagon. C-A-P-T-A-G-O-N. I'm cutting to the chase. Quote, phenylenediline, F-E-N-E-T-H-Y-L-L-I-N-E, is a popular drug in Western Asia and is allegedly used by militant groups in Syria. Stop. Off the cuff. Now, we know this is propaganda. Me personally, I think I'm going to prove, not only, I think I proved it already, but I think I'm going to prove in the upcoming videos, these cats are not, damn, Al-Qaeda. Give me a break. If so, they have the best uniform makers I've ever seen. How can you come, first, why are you wearing black in the desert? And then you coming from fighting and everything's just jet black. You know, never mind. Let's keep going. But this is propaganda. And we're going to read, and like I like to do, find what we need to see and what the white man is willing to give us. All right, here we go. It is a popular drug in Western Asia and is allegedly used by militant groups in Syria. It is manufactured locally in a cheap and simple process, and it sells for between $5 and $20. Example, bingo, I told you. Question, black people, is this not the same crack rock price that destroyed the black community? Yes, yes it is. Let's continue with the original article for more proof. Quote, on the surface, those competing actors are fueled by an overlapping mixture of ideologies and political agendas. Just below it, experts suspect they're powered by something else. Capagon, a tiny, highly addictive pill produced in Syria and now widely available across the Middle East. Its illegal sales funnel hundreds of millions of dollars back into the war-torn country's black market economy each year, likely giving militias access to new arms, fighters, and the ability to keep the conflict boiling, according to The Guardian. Stop! And America wants to not only wet their beaks in this black market, they got plans for the blacks in America with this drug as well. Let's continue. Personal quote. Syria is a tremendous problem in that it's a collapsing security sector because of its porous borders, because of the presence of so many criminal elements and organized networks. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime Regional Representative Masoud something told Voice of America. Another personal quote. There's a great deal of trafficking being done of all sort of illicit goods, drugs, guns, money, people. But what is being manufactured there and who is doing the manufacturing, that's not something we have visibility into from a distance. Stop. Bingo! And surely America needs a piece of that action. Heck, we already have their drug recipe. That was only the tricky part. The big fig Newton is the control of the distribution, the contacts and lines of transport. But I know. What difference is this drug from any other, scribe? Are you sure you are not a test subject? I got your frustration so far. I got that. But I'm building a case. Maybe this next part will calm you down. Quote, a powerful amphetamine tablet based on the original synthetic drug known as, that word starts with an F. Capagon quickly produces a euphoric intensity in the user, allowing Syria fighters to stay up for days, killing with a numb, reckless abandon. Personal quote. You can't sleep or even close your eyes. Forget about it. And whatever you take to stop it, nothing can stop it, said a Lebanese user, one of 3 who appeared on camera without their names for a BBC Arabic documentary that aired in September. Another personal quote. I felt like I owned the world high, another user said. Another personal quote. Like I have power nobody has. A really nice feeling. Another personal quote. There was no fear anymore after I took Capagon, a third man added. But one secular ex-Syrian fighter who spoke to the BBC went further, saying the drug is tailor-made for the battlefield because of its ability to give soldiers superhuman energy and courage. Personal quote. So the brigade leader came and told us, this pill gives you energy. Try it, he said. Personal quote. So we took it the first time. We felt physically fit. And if there were 10 people in front of you, you could catch them and kill them. You're awake all the time. You don't have any problems. You don't even think about sleeping. You don't think to leave the checkpoint. It gives you great courage and power. If the leader told you to go break into a military barracks, I will break in with a brave heart and without any feelings of fear at all. You're not even tired. The U.S. classified that name, which starts with an F, commonly known by the trademark name Capagon, as a Schedule I drug under the Federal Controlled Substance Act of 1981, according to the National Criminal Justice Reference Services. Example. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, there is a drug that can make the average color a super color. And best of all, they stay in their right mind and follow orders in the process. Surely, all it will take is a couple of white sacrificial lambs. You know, to die for the cause in a couple of well-timed and televised super nigga episodes. Yep, big black retribution live and direct. The Hegelianized fear induced will cause the white American world to demand, I say, that you do whatever you must do. Violence, whatever violence you must do. Pass whatever law you must pass. But please protect them from the terma niggas. And if Section 557, Paragraph 9 in the Wickedness Handbook is correct, the evildoers never, let me repeat, they will never let a bad situation go to waste. That's where the second part of this equation comes into focus. Did you notice this drug is already on the books as a felony in America? I did. And when you couple all we have gleaned thus far with this, everything I'm saying should start to make perfect sense to you. For there is nothing new under the sun, right? According to AOL News, under Jeff Sessions appears intent on taking us back to the 1980s and the war on drugs, March 16, 2017. Quote, Attorney General Jeff Sessions vowed on Wednesday to ramp up enforcement of drug crimes to combat what he says is a nationwide increase in violent crimes, a move some experts say channels the war on drug era in the 1980s. Stop. Bingo. And because the white man is driven by raw emotions, you know, the lack of empathy emotions needed to subdue the earth, well, all the evildoers need to do is manipulate what they see. And because they are psychopaths by nature, they will go into berserker mode and cut off their whole hand when they only had a splinter in their pinky. Case in point, surely we have heard all of the increase in crime and murders in Chicago, right? Heck, worthless and weak Spike Lee even did a movie about it. It was on the nightly news. Well, nightly, thus propelling the Pence administration into the White House with wins in the much-needed Midwest region. Well, comes to find out, according to the LA Times, September 26, 2016, under, actually, homicides in Chicago have decreased since 2000. So as you can see, somebody lying. But let's continue with the original article, shall we? Quote, Sessions delivered a speech to law enforcement officers in Richmond, Virginia, where he touted the effectiveness of Project Exile, a 2-decade-old program that enforced mandatory minimum sentences on felons caught carrying firearms. Personal quote, all of us who work in law enforcement want to keep people safe, Sessions said, according to prepared remarks. Another personal quote, this is the heart of our jobs. It is what drives us every day. So we are all disturbed to learn that violent crime is on the rise in America, especially in our cities. While Sessions admitted that crime rates in the U.S. were at historic lows, he pointed out that, according to the FBI, incidents of violent crimes rose by more than 3% between 2014 and 2015. Stop. With rhetoric like this, to fight minuscule numbers like these can only mean he does have a crystal ball and can see into the future in regards to an uptick in crime. Or he has just told the world he is in a conspiracy to commit genocide upon a segment of the American people. Remember when I said no evildoer worth their salt would let a situation go to waste? Check this out. Quote, Sessions tied this increase in violence to the unprecedented epidemic of heroin and opiate abuse. Stop. Now, ain't that a beat? What am I talking about, you ask? People, look at this vicious cycle here. We go into Afghanistan to control the heroin. Heroin becomes the cheapest and most available in the history of controlled substance law in America. Now, they use those very same statistics they caused as a basis for doing what they really wanted to do in the first place. Well played, white man. Well played, evil genius. But let's continue if you don't believe me. Under taking it back to the 80s. Quote, criminal justice and drug policy experts say that Sessions' focus on cracking down on drug offenders is an unwise strategy born out of the war on drugs era of the 80s and 90s. Michael Collins, the deputy director of the Drug Policy Alliance, called Sessions' emphasis on sentencing and enforcement as a response to the opiate epidemic deeply discerning. Personal quote. He appears intent on taking us back to the 1980s with his drug war rhetoric. Locking up more people exacerbates the problem. That's it, exacerbates the problem, Collins told Business Insider. Mark Schindler told the executive director of the Justice Policy Institute, criticized Sessions' support of Project Exile, which he called political will to remove black and brown people from communities. The program heavily penalizes gun offenders, according to Schindler, but does nothing to stem the flow of guns into cities and neighborhoods. Example, I told you, but wait! Remember when we came to the conclusion, the logical conclusion, for the national demons to do what they truly wanted to do, they needed to put their seeds into the state level positions. And we discovered the White House fired 46 of the top state lawyers without having their replacements in pocket. Well, allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. If you was in it to win it, what would be your next logical move? Right, Junior Seeker and Miss Nile. Plant your seed in the ground where the state gets its power from. The individual cities and towns. And what better way for a city or town to get the colored's mind right? Right, Mr. Lamont, whose excellent video made me cry. Let your first line of offense and defense pin their ears back. Check this out. According to the New York Times, under Sessions indicates Justice Department will stop monitoring troubled police agencies. Let me read that title again. Sessions indicates Justice Department will stop monitoring troubled police agencies. February 28th, 2017. Quote, Attorney General Jeff Sessions indicated on Tuesday that the federal government would back away from monitoring troubled police departments, which was the central strategy of the Obama administration to force accountability onto local law enforcement amid rising racial tension. In his first speech, in his first speech as the Attorney General, Mr. Sessions did not name any specific cities, but he indicated that Justice Department scrutiny from afar was undermining the effectiveness of the police across the country. It was a clear reference to the aggressive efforts of the Obama administration to oversee law enforcement agencies charged with civil rights abuses. Personal quote, we need, so far as we can, in my view, help police departments get better, not diminish their effectiveness, Mr. Sessions said in remarks to the National Association of Attorney Generals. Another personal quote. And I'm afraid we've done some of that. So we're going to try to pull back on this. And I don't think it's wrong or mean or insensitive to civil rights or human rights. Example. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, through witchcrafts and sorceries, what? What does witchcraft and sorceries have to do with this? I can't blame that on everything. Well, not that I'm saying smoking reefer is wrong or anything, but how on earth can the younglings think they are cool, cutting edge, or rebellious smoking marijuana cigarettes when their grandparents are on film doing the exact same thing 50 years ago? It's not like reefer madness has stopped and now all of a sudden someone remembered how to plant a freaking seed. What I'm saying is the hype around doing something that everyone has and are still doing for over 50 years now just got to be some type of programming. That's just how I see it. I don't mean nothing by it. So this is the end of the theory number 2. Remind me of my madness in the comment section, please. Thank you for looking at this video. Y'all will look for theory number 3.